is the Relentless Pursuit of Winning podcast. My name is Rick Meekins. I'm the managing partner at Epiphany Business Consulting and your host for today. I am so delighted to have you in the studio. Thank you for being here. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the bell so you can be notified every time we drop a new episode. Now let's get it started. Hey everybody, this is the Relentless Pursuit of Winning podcast. My name is Rick Meekins. I am your host today, and in the studio, we have Steve Ramona. This is going to be a great show. Hold on. Steve, how you doing?
Incredible. Thanks for having me on, Rick.
I love that. Incredible is just like the best way to start a show. You know, it's not okay. Incredible. I love that.
I'm good. No, incredible.
That's fantastic. We are gonna one of the things I love about Steve is everything that he talks about. He talks about in terms of serving and service, and I really like that. It really resonates with me very well. So Steve, let's jump right into this. You know what? Let's do this. Let's invite everybody to make sure that they hit the bell on YouTube. Make sure that they're subscribed. And they can watch all the episodes as they drop. And then with that said, let's jump into it. Steve, give us a little of your background, who you are, what you do, why you do.
Entrepreneur, been in it since, I think I have had one job in my I'm 63, 40 years, 50 years. I don't know, 50 years, whatever time frame in business. My dad was an entrepreneur. He's a contractor for 30 years. I just watched his lifestyle. He'd come to my games, go back to work, and play golf on Thursdays with his Italian-American club. And all that, I just loved it. I was very close to my dad. So I've always thought I can make more of an impact as an entrepreneur than working 8 to 5 at a company. And nothing wrong with that. It just all depends what your why and purpose is. Yeah. So I learned early on working at a health club at 18. We launched a health club, my family, and the value of relationships and building those with people that they're coming through the door. You know, people 40, 50, 60 making a lot of money, doing really well. Becoming my friends, asking me out to lunch, seeing me at a restaurant, saying hello, or just giving me tips throughout the years. And I probably met 10,000 people over 20 years, but that helped build my network. Yeah. And I realized through the club, we always valued customer service. It was important. Everybody's name. And here's a tip, audience. You want to be a better relationship, even with somebody you don't know, read their name tag and say their name. Hey, Jim, the shopping clerk at Safeway. Hey, Jim, thanks for doing that. Appreciate you. Or Tony, hey, thanks for bagging my food. Or even better, at a restaurant. Hey, Debbie, thank you. Man, I appreciate that. Man, you brought the water fast. It just changes the dynamic of that interaction to where people won't forget you. Yeah.
I love that energy. I love that. That kind of energy exchange, and you can see it, as you can see people, kind of lighting up, their eyes light up. Oh, he said my name. I love that. Is that, I wonder sometimes, and, it's probably one of my foolish questions, but, how do you learn to do that from a place of authenticity?
It's a mindset. It's you've got to want to do it. Study it. Chapter 4, Think and Grow Rich, Law of Increase. When I read that a few years ago, it changed. I've been doing it, but being aware of it. So self-awareness and mindset are the key. Because here's the problem with this, Rick, is how, when or where the return comes, the ROI, we don't know. Yeah. I'm going to be the best guest on this podcast. I'm going to do the best I can, make it incredible as much as I can. Yeah. But am I getting paid? No. I'm not asking to get paid. But you know what? If I do a great show and one of your audience members pick something up from this show, me and you's universe changes. And it talks back to you and brings back these opportunities of the last year was my best year ever financially in 40 years because I served 2,000 people. I did 2,000 introductions on top of free mentoring. I jump on a call. A perfect example. I was on a call last week and his 24-year-old has his own business. Very cool. Love if you're young out there, great opportunity to start a business, but do it right. Hire Rick, by the way. Hire Rick. And it got set up by a setter. What that is, someone will have people on LinkedIn or whatever and say, hey, would you like to meet Ryan? He does TEDx talks. And but I don't want to buy anything. But I knew what it was. It was a sales call. So we jumped on within 5 or 10 minutes. I told Ryan, I don't believe in I'm not going to, not that I don't believe. I won't do a TEDx talk. It doesn't fit my business model. I love that people do them. It's great. Yeah. I just want to let you know that. Well, the next 45 minutes, I mentored him.
Really?
He got off that call before he left. He says, that's one of the best calls I've ever had.
Wow.
Now, Rick, I could have been, God, it's a sales call. I'm going to get out of this call in 10, 15 minutes.
Yeah.
But I tested it. And I use this principle I came up with. Actually, a guest helped me name this principle. It's called the ASLA principle. Ask, shut up, listen, and ask. Now, people go, Steve, if I shut up, I'm listening. Well, let's look at a Zoom room you're in. How many times do people go? I was in one yesterday. 3 or 4 people went black. Now, maybe they're going to the bathroom. Maybe they're getting out of their car. Whatever activity they're doing, it's legit. But
Right.
are they really listening?
Right.
And they're not. They're not picking it up. And then the ask part is ask another question or ask, Rick, what I'm hearing from you, what you're saying, your challenge is some lead generation. Hey, I've got somebody I want to introduce you to. I think can help you. Or, hey, I think I can help you with this. Let's jump on another call. Let's calendar it right now. Let me tell you what I do that maybe help with your challenges.
Yeah.
Well, I could never do that, either bring a resource or offer my services, if I didn't listen.
Yeah.
And I didn't ask.
Yeah. 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 Wow. That's interesting because, it's like I 2 things came to mind. One, it's you hear people talking about the idea of karma. You do, that thing that you do, comes back to you in some way. And, that's an interesting concept. I certainly, I think one of the things, generally when I think about that is if you're giving, expecting to give back, I mean, you can't really, it's harder to give authentically, but, nevertheless, the idea though, that you sat on the phone and, kind of diagnosed, where this person was coming from listening, I love that, because I know me, I don't think that way. It's like, okay, we're going to do this call, and I'm, perhaps, rehearsing. It's like, okay, this is my pitch or, whatever that's going to be, but it's not really like what you're doing is how can I give to this person? How can I make this person's, how can I pour into this person a little bit? How can I dump into their bank account? I love that.
I love the pour in. That's such a great phrase, Rick. That's genius. Because that's what you're doing. You're intentional with the fact of getting to know somebody.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a big fan. I'm going to talk about myself, but I have the greatest one-on-one calls because I do that. And I'm nothing different than all you listening, but the difference I'm doing is I'm taking action. Yeah. If you hear the ASLA principle, take action and do it. Try it.
Yeah.
And introverts, what a great thing. Have 3 questions on your screen before you jump on. What's your challenges? What's your goals? How big is your company? Let's just use those 3 questions. Ask, what's your challenges right now, Rick? And you shut up and listen. And you go, okay, his challenge is this. Well, he doesn't have any challenges. I talked to a guy today. He's a franchise guy. He's killing it. I can't help him. I did give him a referral, though. I did uplift him by asking him to be on my podcast. He said, oh, it'd be a pleasure. So there's always, and you're not going to do it 100% of the time, but if you shoot for 90% of the time of bringing value, it's powerful. And the value could be, Rick, I love and I do, by the way, love your discipline, vision, the words behind you. A simple little comment, but you just smiled. You just have a little smile on your face like, I could tell it's really important to you. This is improv with authenticity. I just thought of that. You're improving. You're finding ways of bringing stuff out that you can pour into them. You can't sell anybody in the world unless you know who they are. Well, you can't sell most people. Yeah. Some people go, it's only $9.99. I'll buy it and spend 3 or 4 months and they stop buying it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Short-term sales are short. So let's use a great example, numbers game. So you have 5 people that you meet, go, I'm going to buy your product. I love it. It's great. Okay. Built no relationship. Or you take 10 people. You don't sell them right unless they say, hey, give me the link, man. I really know you. I trust you. You've built a relationship in that 30 minutes or an hour. But then you jump on another call and go, hey, any questions? I'm ready to go, man. I'm so excited to work with you. So we have 5 short-term, 10 that might take a few weeks to sell.
Yeah.
Well, the 5 people don't really know you. When something happens, like, I'm bailing. This doesn't work. Or he showed up 5 minutes late for our mastermind. He sucks because they don't trust me. So they're going to bail early. But now let's go backwards. Those are 10 people. Let's take 5 people that you've built a relationship with. Mm-hmm. Yeah, let's say it's $1,000. I made $10,000. But they leave me in 2 or 3 months. But I think 5 people made $5,000 after a few weeks. They know me. They love me. We do great calls. We do our service. They're going to last months, years. I've talked to people who have done this, have clients for 5 years. Mm-hmm. So I made, let's say it's $1,000 a month. They stayed 5 months. So that's I made $50,000. Hey, that's a lot of money. I just sold 10 people. But now you sold 5 people by building a relationship, and they stay years. Let's just use a year. Value. You just doubled the value. Here's the other thing people forget. They're going to give you referrals and introductions. Oh, my God, you got to meet Steve. You got to meet Rick. I've been working with this guy for 8-9 months. He is unbelievable. I hear you have this problem. And that's what because they're like, oh, this guy's selling. He made 50 sales today. But how long are those sales going to stay? Are they going to be true customers?
Yeah. I mean, service business, I mean, it's critical, because they have to trust you. If they don't trust you, everything is questioned and everything is, they're looking for the next best thing. You're just, you can be a placeholder if you're not taking the time, putting the energy into really pouring into those folks. Is that sound about right?
It does. And let's use, oh my God, Rick, I just thought of something. Audience, hear this. This is real time. This is 2 guys serving each other. I jumped on and Rick said, I've got to take care of a problem. He's solving a problem for his client. Now I could have been, son of a bunch. God, I got to wait. Okay. And I don't even say it, but in my head, my mindset's this. You go and I know you're scrambling. You're trying to take care of me, but this is important. My podcast is important, but it doesn't have to be done right in Pacific time, 2:00 or 2, whatever time we were supposed to do it. Uh-huh. But I served you by giving you the peace of mind by saying, take your time. Clients are important. Your whole energy or stress level did this. Your energy went up and you fixed the problem. And excuse my language, but I could have been a bitch and said, you know what? I got 30 minutes. I really need to do this podcast. The worst thing that could have happened was we reschedule. Whoop-de-doo. But 2 guys, 2 manly guys loving each other by serving. And I'm going to say love because I do love what you do and I wanted to help you. And you wanted to help me by helping this client. It's that simple. Our relationship has changed. I know you're going to look at me different. And I look at you different because your client was so important to you. It had to be taken care of. That's the little things you can do to change people's lives.
Yeah. How do you learn that? How did you come up with the idea that this is the main thing that you wanted to do, and then everything else just kind of stemmed from it, from what I'm seeing and hearing?
Yeah, practiced it. Meaning I did it. I just kept doing it. I met a gentleman on my podcast. This is a great book. It comes with the 3 good things. They did research and say, write down 3 good things you did today. Mm-hmm. And I wasn't doing that. I'm going to start doing it. But I was noticing my calls were getting better. I wasn't nervous. But I was getting responses like, Steve, that's the best call I've been on. Huh. An email later, Steve, those are great introductions. You're incredible. You're amazing. Right. So this edification and feedback I was getting, like, Steve, you're on track for something. And that works for everybody. Mm-hmm. Here's an image, audience, to think about. And Rick, we're 6, 7, or 8. It's Christmas morning. And we're coming up to Christmas here. It's November 21st, so it's apropos. Mm-hmm. What do we do as a kid? We run to our Christmas tree. And we get to open one gift. We open that gift. We're super fired up. We're excited. But what we've done, too, is probably bought a gift for a mom or dad or a sibling. We're excited about that, too. Mom, open the gift, right? I can still think of those images. That's what me and you get to do. We just did that today with that little story I told you what happened.
Yeah.
Imagine doing that every day, the feedback. You just given me lowering your stress and your energy level off. When I said take your time, that's important. I just gave you a gift, and you gave me a gift of being a guest on the podcast. The emotion, the feeling, the excitement is the most wonderful ROI. Is it money? Eventually it will be. But you just got to keep doing it. Like you've got to keep drinking water and eating every day. I think serving just needs to be done every day in different capacities.
Yeah. So question for you. Do you, and what I'm thinking about is, when people introduce themselves on LinkedIn, and they're like, hey, I'd like to do a call with you. Do you consider agreeing to do that call an act of service as well? Or what are your thoughts on that?
Here's the rub with that. And people need to understand, a servant heart says no. I've had to say no a lot for my podcast because I changed. I'm looking for millionaires, pro athletes, celebrities, influencers, because I have so many podcasts I've done. I'm looking for that to influence my message. So I've said no to a number of people. Hey, you're not a fit, or why don't you hold off till January? You got to serve yourself as well.
Yeah.
You've got to take care of yourself. You can't just give all your money away, give all your time away, and then wake up 6 months later and go, I'm dead ass broke. I don't have any money and I didn't have any time.
Yeah.
So you need to counsel in your own head when you get that message to see, where can this guy fit? Maybe ask that question. What's your intention of meeting? Well, I think I've got this great software that will change your coaching business.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not interested. That wouldn't be a reason for me to come on. I just don't need a coaching program. Again, you're serving yourself and you're serving him, because you're both not jumping on a call for 20, 30 minutes and really not getting anything out of it.
Yeah.
But the flip side is try to meet as many people as you can, because you never know who you're going to meet. Great story. About 8-10 weeks ago, I met this bartender. I think it was LinkedIn. He connected with me. I had some time. It was a 20-minute call. We're talking. And so what do you do? But I'm, going to school, get my master's. And, I said, hey, when you do this, I gave him a couple tips. Bring him value. He'll never be my client. He'll never be anything. He'll never directly make me money. I don't care. I don't even think about that. I'm just telling you after the fact. But when he said, when I took care of him and served him, what's the next thing people say? How can I help you?
Yeah.
He asked me that. I said, I'm looking for these people on my podcast. He goes, how about the vice president of Google? I said, what? I said, he's my cousin. I said, absolutely. I brought him a gift. He brought me a bigger gift back, and we don't look at gifts that way. Like Christmas, I might get a bike. I might get my mom and dad a little rock that I painted. Don't look at value to value, just gifts. I've never had him on my podcast. We're still working because he's so busy, and he said he would. If it happens, it happens. But I never would have thought a bartender is going to know the vice president of Google. That's why walk into every meeting, because you don't know who their network is.
Yeah. Brilliant. What's the I guess the best story? I mean, you talk about like giving to people and investing essentially in people. What's been the best ROI that you've had, just from a life perspective?
I got a number of those. I've been taking testimonials. A perfect example is I had Ryan Lavanere. I can never say his name. He played in the Major League Baseball 15 years. Played all over the international baseball. So, major baseball player. He's a guest on my podcast. He's a motivational speaker, keynote speaker, and did a great podcast. I walked in, because remember, these are people. When you meet people, if they're a billionaire or struggling, they're people. That's it. Wealthy and all that's just a label. So we go through the podcast, great podcast, get done. He goes, Steve, I got to thank you. I've done hundreds of podcasts. I said, yeah, it was a great podcast. What are you thanking me for? He goes, you know what you did? You told your audience you need to reach out and hire me if you've got a corporate structure that needs a motivational speaker. Not one podcast host did that except you. I just brought him a gift. Now, he's not going to go because people will go, wow, is he going to keep track if he gets a client? No, it's a fact that I did it and served him, which I try to do on every podcast.
Yeah.
This guy might start bringing me baseball players, or might go, hey, would you like to meet Ohtani? Shohei Ohtani, one of the richest baseball players. You never know when you take care of people when it comes. Here's the other thing. I got a referral 3 weeks ago. Somebody I haven't talked to in a year. Hey, you got to meet Steve. Oh my God, I met him a year. Even in the introduction, I met him a year ago. I was talking, thinking about Steve when I talked to you. I think I'm like, holy moly, that is one of the ROIs of serving that's so powerful. It's not a money thing, which eventually will be somehow, some way. It's that serving ROI.
Wow. So it's the energy, the feeling that you're getting. If I understand correctly, that's a different type of success. I mean, it's a different measure of success.
Yes.
And it's attainable. I mean, you see that ROI. Going back to just saying someone's name when you're they're your bartender or whatever it is, and their face lights up, and it's just like, oh wow, this person knows my name. This person recognized me. I love that. I guess recognition is even further. I know that, like, there's a lady at our grocery store. She just works at the grocery store, and every time I go in, I say, "Hey, how you doing?" And it's cool. That's brilliant. That's brilliant.
She's going to take care of you. And I'll give you another great story.
Yeah,
I always big at restaurants, because when I've talked to about 100 managers, because I was going to write a book, how to be a good customer, not customer service, but how to be a good, because customers can suck. Yes. I flat out said it. You know it. I know it. It's just people, because we're dealing with people.
Yeah.
So I always do this. I'll take the waitress or waiter, and this time was a waitress, a waiter. His name's Jose, I think it was. And I'll go, hey, Jose, can you go grab your manager? What can I do? Oh, it's okay. Can you just grab your manager? And I do that purposely. Kind of, it's a setup, but there's a reason to it. So I see him walk over, and I'm looking. They're talking, and like, oh, it's getting heated. What'd you do? Why does he want to talk to me? So the manager comes walking over and says, sir, what's your name? I say, the manager's name's Debbie. I think it was Debbie. And he says, oh, I'm Steve. Nice to meet you. My wife, Melinda. This waiter was unbelievable. Talked to my wife. She was unbelievable. This and that, and the water, all the edification, recognition. I love using that word, recognition.
Yeah.
Oh my God, thank you. That's so fantastic.
Yeah.
And I always ask a manager, how often do you hear recognition from your employees? She'd been there 10 years at the restaurant. This year alone, that was the first time, and that was October. Wow. So for 8 months, she's never heard one good thing about her employees. But she'll hear the food's cold. It's late.
Yeah.
Why don't I have a table? Why is there a long line? Which is a dumb question to me, because it's a busy restaurant. It's just a long line. But here's the ROI of taking care of people. So the waitress walks over. Thank you so much. Oh, my God, my manager's so fired up and pumped up. You know what, Steve and Melinda? I work at Levi Stadium where the 49ers play, and I run the bar. Come by, and I'll get you guys a free drink. I love what you said. Now, let's step back. I didn't ask the manager to come over thinking I'm going to get free. I didn't know she worked there. But doing the recognition, edification, and serving her, because now be authentic. If they're not good, don't do that, and actually be honest with the manager as well. If they're not good, because it's a learning lesson. I'm going, oh, this guy sucked. Rick was the worst waiter. To say, you know what, he was a little slow, or here's some things he maybe should work on. I just wanted to help you out, so that's okay. Just don't scream and yell at people. It doesn't get anywhere.
Yeah,
that is the bad. My wife looked at me and she goes, oh my God, you're amazing. I said, honey, because we're always, and she's doing it a lot now, is, thanking people and remembering their names and things like that. Yeah. So it comes the best way out of the blue.
Yeah. Wow. That's incredible. That's incredible. That's great stories. How did you, are you naturally a people person?
Yeah. Working at the health club for 20 years.
Yeah.
Because I walk through the gym every day. My cousin said, your job is operations, but you're walking through because people love you. You're going to walk through. That's why people knew me. I go out to eat. People go, okay, you know so many people. Well, we got 6,000 members. I'm going to know some people. And I love people. Love working with them.
So if you're not a people person, if you're, an introvert, if you're, just socially awkward, I mean, how do you incrementally, continue to move that needle of pouring into people? without, being overwhelmed is really.
Yeah. It's a great question. I'm going to say this. You're out of luck. You're not going to grow a business. I'm kidding, because that's crap. I've heard people say that. I'm like, are you kidding me? You're going to tell somebody because they're an introvert? Well, you're like saying they've got Parkinson's or dementia. No, don't go there. I think introverts have a huge advantage because the ASLA principle works perfect for them. Ask, shut up, and listen.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
They don't have to draw on too much of a conversation. But any human that gets information feedback, you can work with that. Oh, you live in Northern California? My cousin lived in Northern California. Where do you live? I said, oh, they grew up here. I've done that many a times, and you can do that. And the next thing you know, you're in a 5-10 minute conversation about a topic, and you're building a rapport.
Yeah. Yeah.
So asking those questions, if you have to have them up front, I don't, because I just have so many questions in my head, but have them written down somewhere. And if it's a little more specific for them, say, hey, why did you start that foundation? I'm so excited. You're helping with people who die by suicide, whatever that may be.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody can do it. There's no ageism, racism, any isms to that, because anybody in the world can do that.
Yeah.
And I guarantee it'll make you smile, because when you ask people questions, not good questions, don't go like, you're poor, and don't be negative, always positive, which is pretty obvious, but I guess I have to say that. It is, and I was in a sense an introvert when I did sales calls. I'm like, how am I going to do this? How am I going to talk to people? I, look at their background a little bit.
Uh-huh.
But once I start in and go, hey, Rick, what do you do? What's your challenges?
Yeah.
Oh, so did you try this? And then the whole conversation starts flowing. And then you look at time and go, oh man, we ran out of time. We got to book another call.
Yeah.
Those are some of the best calls in the world. When you ran out of time going, oh man, this is great.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I find my strategy tends to be get them talking, get somebody else talking. Like you said, ask the question.
Exactly. It's, and try to lead off right away if you can. Mm-hmm. It doesn't work with me all the time. So he can ask you a few questions. I'll answer them. Mm-hmm. They'll learn more about me than I start asking questions, but be intentional if you can. Go, hey, Rick, can I ask you a few questions? Or I got a question. How long have you been a lawyer? 20 years. Yeah. Oh, man, you must have seen a lot of stories, huh? Oh, you can see it just leads to a natural conversation. Most introverts, extroverts have problems with this too. Like I did. Where do we go? I don't want to sell, or I do want to sell. How do I sell them? Which, if you have that mindset, take that out of your mindset. But the question, like you just said, Rick, so well, that question just leads to flow. And maybe nothing ever happens, but at least you had a great conversation.
Yeah. And that's fine. I find that you practice. You get to practice being authentic. You get to practice having the conversations, and it's still a blessing, and you learn to, I guess you learn to appreciate those little things, for yourself, the edification, as you said before.
You just don't know what people's shoes they're in. It's.
Oh yeah.
And I'm going to jump in a quick story real quick, because this will really bring it full circle. So Katie, we got in a one-on-one, typical one-on-one. I, at the end, gave her 3 introductions. And I remember weeks went by, and she finally answered them, because, you're on the tag of the email. It says, hey, I'm so sorry. It took me so long to get back to you. It was 6 weeks. Uh-huh. But my special needs twins had major problems. I had to take care of them. Very understandable. Glad she said that. A week later, I get the email, and I still have it. I saved it. It's so unbelievable. She goes, Steve, I'm speechless, LOL, because now I'm typing. I guess I'm not speechless. But you introduced me to these 3 people to help with my business, and I so thank you. But you don't know what you just did for my family. These 3 people gave me resources I've been looking for 8 years to help my kids. I think it's autism. I don't remember. I think it was but they're special needs. I now see a brighter future for my kids because you made those 3 introductions.
Wow.
Again, I didn't know that was going to happen, but I'm a spiritual guy. God wants us to bring value to people because you never know what that's going to be. We don't know the shoes they live in. We don't know the shoes they're walking in. But if it's value from a positive aspect, you don't know, you could change somebody's life.
Yeah, yeah. You never know. You never know. God puts us in certain places, and it's up to us to make that step. But I mean, it's really rewarding, when we do. That's awesome. Your podcast, you hinted about your podcast a couple of times. Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, it's called Doing Business with a Servant's Heart. I launched January of 2020, so it'll be 2 years in January. And it's
Congratulations.
just grown. Again, it was another way. I see podcasting now, and I mentor people as the new network. There's networking groups out there. Masterminds are pretty good, but networking groups are okay, but they get to a point where you kind of get stale and neutral because you see the same people.
Yeah,
They're not doing business. Well, with my podcast, I can control my network. If I want
yeah,
to get a multimillionaire on to meet him, I
yeah.
go, "Hey, Tony, would you like to be on my show?" Absolutely. Or no. And I say next to my head, okay, the next guy. So now I built this podcast with, I think it's 8 billionaires, probably 10 or 15, 500 million or more they made in their career, but they're making an impact in the world with a servant's heart.
Amazing.
And they've overcome obstacles. Perfect example, Serena Maston I had on last week. She's one of the top marketing agencies in the world.
Uh-huh.
She was 5 years old when her parents sexually abused her through a satanic cult.
Oh my goodness.
For years, her and her sister were abused. Today, she's best friends with her mom. Just saying, yeah, wow. Those are the kind of stories I want to get out there. That's a true servant's heart that was able to gracefully forgive her mom.
Yeah.
And work through that. She also lost her husband who started her business by dying by suicide.
Oh my goodness.
So she's growing up with sexual abuse, satanic, then finds a husband, starts a business. He dies by suicide. So now she's got this business and now it's flourishing because she just kept going through. Understanding a servant heart will push through.
Yeah.
And what did she do? She started serving other people.
Yeah.
Helping other people, supporting other people.
Amazing. I think one of the that's amazing. I there are a lot of thoughts going through my head about that. It's just such a great opportunity. I think to be able to pour into your guests, to get to get from your guests as well. You never know what they're going to come up with, but ultimately, in my opinion, it's your audience gets to hear those authentic stories, those stories that aren't necessarily your typical business stories or leadership stories or whatever that's going to be. That's truly awesome. That's truly awesome.
Here's something that I'm pushing out there, Rick, and a great tip for you, any podcast host. If you're listening, you're a podcast host. What I've found is podcasts are the greatest gift, and I'll use Serena as an example.
Okay.
Somebody listening hears it and goes, "Oh my God, my best friend was abused sexually as a child."
Yeah.
Oh my God. Take that link that it's on YouTube, take that YouTube link and share it. Give them the gift of, "Hey, I just listened to Serena. You've got to hear her story and you probably need to connect with her. I think she can help you." We don't talk about that with podcasting enough. It's the coolest way to share that gift and, of course, promote somebody as well, because that's what you're doing. Because now they get to watch or listen to a show and listen to Serena's passion, trauma, fear, everything she went through. And then at the finally end going, "Hey, I'm flourishing. I've got this," giving people hope. So please, people, use the podcast. If you get on a podcast and it resonates with you or somebody you know, share it. And that's why I tell people to subscribe, because you get easier access to all those channels. So jump on Rick's podcast and subscribe to his channel, because as shows come, you never know, one of those shows could change your life. And I think Rick's probably doing that.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. And folks need to subscribe for yours as well. I mean, you've got a long history, and you've talked to some amazing people. You've talked to people. I know that what I want to do is give people tools and resources to overcome. I mean, you have those stories, and it's not just the business challenges, but personal challenges. And then emphasizing the idea that it doesn't always have to be commercial to be successful. I think that's huge.
Yeah.
You know, how many times do we get that message? It's like, hey, you know what, just go out and serve because you're supposed to. Don't look for anything in return. You just do the right thing. I mean, how often do we hear that story?
Yeah.
Wow.
You know,
Wow.
and it could be tech or service or product too. Mine's about stories, but it could be you listen to somebody on the show and they've got a great CRM. Well, your friend's been saying, hey, I had a guy yesterday ask me about CRMs. I didn't have an answer for him, but I gave him some referrals. But share that podcast. Go, hey, this guy Joe, he's got a great CRM. Listen to it. Maybe this is what you're looking for. And then maybe you can reach out to him and see if it's a fit. I love collaboration, and that's what podcast guesting can do, and hosting can be collaborations.
Yeah, yeah. What's the coolest thing that's happened as a result of connecting with somebody on a podcast, on your show?
Oh God, there's been so many. Well, I met a guy today who he sent me this message. He's died 12 times. He's been on death's door 12 times. He told the story the 13th time he was on a cruise ship speaking, and it became the Titanic. And when it went down, and he was in a lifeboat, him and 7 other guys, and a typhoon was coming in. It was 100 million one shot they would find him, and the Coast Guard found him and saved him. Wow. He wrote this: Steve, I just love being with you on your podcast this morning. You have exactly the vision of service that I share. I look forward to continuing collaborations. So that's something that's just happened today that warms my heart. What Ryan said about, me edifying him and telling people to hire him. The partnerships, I have coaches I've had on and shared them with others, and they pay me $1,500. Part of my program is, and audience, here's a great tip for you that I tell all entrepreneurs or people that need money: go through your own network and look at the product and services they sell. If you resonate, or want to share that, reach out to them and go, do you have an affiliate program? Love to earn a commission. Most times I do that. I did it this morning. Guy said, absolutely. And then they say, yes, but here's the kicker. Here is, again, the up level of serving. Mm-hmm. You're going to tell that person, what I'm going to do next week is spend an hour going through my network. I'm going to share a number of people with you as I see fit. Mm-hmm. So when you get these affiliate programs, a lot of people are like, when I run into somebody, I'll do it. No. Be proactive. Yeah. Go through your network. If it's a CRM, Jim needed a CRM. Debbie needed a CRM. Hey, Debbie, I just met Juan. He's got this great Ruben. He does have a CRM. Great CRM. And I know you mentioned last time I talked to you, I haven't found one. Well, let me do an introduction and introduce both of you. Ruben goes, talks to them, makes the sale. He made $50. So I sent one email out, put 2 companies together. Yeah. He sent me $5,000.
What?
2 emails.
Wow.
That was an outlier. Don't usually do that. Yeah. But that happens because they're building this. I put them together to build this workshop, and they made like $100,000 on the workshop. Yeah. And like, hey, we're going to kick you, maybe it might have been 10,000. I think it was 10%. Whatever, 5 or 10, doesn't matter. Yeah. Again, the servant's heart can reward you money, because I had built a relationship with both those people, both those companies, and said, you two need to meet. I think there's a partnership here. They did meet. They built a partnership, and away they go.
I love that. That's amazing. I love connecting people. But I love I guess the activity, the action beyond that, it's like, I'm not looking for anything, but it's just like, do something, right? Hey, so
just real quick, you just said something very apropos. For years, I've been serving people. So I did $25 million in deals over the last 11 years. A lot of money. I made $10,000. Now, audience, I'm not complaining. It was a lesson for me. I should have been a millionaire. Just 10% is $2.5 million. But I never asked. Hey, Rick, here's some connections. Make a bunch of money. Hey, Steve, how can I help you? And I would put my hand up like this, which is the worst thing you can do. No, I'm good. So I talked to this guy who does hundreds of millions of dollars a year. He says, and think about this, audience, is when I said no like that, I turned them into takers. Now, they don't walk away from that meeting and go, what an a-hole Steve is, because it's subconscious. It's like, man, I just got all these great gifts from Steve. Yeah. I can't help him. Once I learned that lesson, my network, my money, everything just blew up.
Wow. Wow. And so I guess you have kind of a list, maybe in the back of your mind or something like that, of things to. Okay. Okay. Cool.
And I've got a database. I use a Google Sheet. I've got a
Uh-huh.
database, and I'll go through it, But in my head, I'll think about somebody's looking for, like, I have a AI software I use for LinkedIn. And, when people talk about using LinkedIn, I say, let me share this with you. I think this might help you. And I share it, go, oh, here's the link. Here's my referral link. And they go sign up. Somebody did that yesterday.
Oh, cool.
Again, I am selling, but I'm selling with value. I'm transforming their LinkedIn engagement.
Yes.
And with that comes transaction, if they so believe in. If they don't, move on. We're still friends. We shake virtual hands, and maybe there's another opportunity down the road.
Yeah. I love that. If somebody wants to really adopt this mindset, of a servant's heart, what are like one or two things, we can leave our audience with, that could point them in the right direction?
One, track for a week your service. So start on Monday and write down on a piece of paper. I've got a journal on Amazon if you want. It's like $9, but track it. Like, what's that phrase? Data tells the truth, or something. I don't know the phrase, but data is important.
Yeah.
But it's more important is the emotions. So you write down all the service activities you did. I helped a lady with her groceries. I gave 3 introductions. I did this. I did this. I did this. Well, Friday or Saturday, go over all that. 3 questions you want to ask yourself. How did they feel when you served them? How did you feel? And the third most important thing, how did your work change? I guarantee you something happened in your week good because of all this. Now you're kind of getting an ROI. And if it didn't, do it next week. But it's a skill to practice, like any skill. Gratitude, working out, all those skills, you got to practice it. The other thing is, if you get better 1% every day, it's November 21st. There's like 5 business weeks left. So that's 25. It's 25% better you're going to be today to January 1st, 2025. And then imagine you start January 1st, just 1%. Read a chapter, read a paragraph in a book. Call my best friend. Serve somebody. Whatever that may be, get better 1%. Get, your emails taken. Whatever that is every day, 356% by January 1st, 2026. Audience, will you get better? Will you grow? And by the way, will you make more money?
Yeah. Love that. Steve, if someone wants to sign up to subscribe to your podcast, where do they need to go?
Yeah, just search Doing Business with a Servant's Heart, or you can email me, Steve R. 1961. Yeah, that's my birth year. I'm 63. I've already said it 3 times here. I'm an older guy, but I'm also a loving guy. At gmail.com. So Steve R. 1961 at gmail.com. Or if you're on LinkedIn, Steve Ramona there. You can reach out to me and I can get you the link. Or if you have any questions, I do a podcast workshop. So if you're interested in growing your podcast or learning more about podcasting, I do that for free every month.
Cool. And audience, what I'll do is I'll put all these links, as you probably know, I'm going to put all these links on the page in the show notes. So you'll be able to go and check those out at your leisure. Steve, thank you so much. This has been wonderful. It's been uplifting. It's been encouraging. I'm truly grateful for you being here.
You're a fantastic host. It was my absolute pleasure.
Thank you so much. And folks, we will catch you on the next episode of the Relentless Pursuit of Winning podcast. Thank you so much for watching or listening. See you next time.